Bubs. Just got in a while ago, like right before 6:30ish, and I just want to let you know I got here safely. So give me a call when you can. Love you much. Bye-bye.
A little better. I was just singing you the lyrics to that by Gnarls Barkley.
Oh, okay.
I think it's their best song. I know everybody always says crazy, but that is not the view that I hold.
How long was, do you know how long CeeLo Green was in the group? Because I know the first song I heard from them was Crazy, and I didn't hear it. I don't remember hearing any more songs from them.
I just think that's because they didn't get played on the radio past that point, but they had a couple albums come out. And, you know, I knew of him years before then because he was a part of the Goody Mob.
Yeah, I think I remember you telling me that, yes.
Yes. Alana?
Yes.
I want to hold space for you today.
What? What does that mean?
I don't know. It seems like people are starting to use these buzz terms more and more, like, I want to hold space for you. And what's another good one? Mindful is becoming a buzzword, even though I use it a lot, but I feel like I know how to use it in the proper context.
Okay.
I'm wondering, babes, if the generation coming up are going to have a backlash against these, like, buzzwords. Like, you guys say this stuff so much it doesn't mean anything anymore.
I hope there is, because I mean, hold space sounds like some, like, new age terminology, right?
I want to hold space for you while I check my phone, text with my friends, and interrupt you if I hear something I don't like.
I know. You know what else I've been hearing? Well, I mean, this phrase has been around for a long time, but I remember hearing when I was growing up as a teen, the phrase "touch bases." Right? I want to touch base.
I use that.
I know. Yeah, like I want to catch up. I want to touch base. It's so funny how we come up with a new vernacular, but this is the first time I ever heard "hold space." Is that like a term for I want to give you space to gripe about stuff?
It sort of means you have an opportunity to say what's on your mind, but the people I've heard say that generally tend to zone out after the first 30 seconds. I've heard it for many years.
I don't think I've ever heard it until today that I can think of.
Interesting.
But I do agree that there are these weird buzzwords, and I hope that there is some pushback against those, because some are just like so unnecessary.
What are we doing this for, guys? Just use
regular language.
And at some point it just becomes part of the vernacular, and it doesn't mean anything anymore because it's used by people who don't really back it up.
Yeah, they don't really want to listen to you.
No.
and yeah, I know. I totally get that. I've also been hearing the word trigger a lot, right? Mm-hmm. And I think a lot of people use it. I don't use it much, but a lot of people use it to say something like, "Oh, something triggered me to react that way," right? Or triggered me to get angry at this person because they aren't. They said something that I think is really disgusting or whatever. I just think that the word triggered or trigger is an excuse to lash out at somebody. I mean, really lash out. I'm not talking about like getting irritated, mildly irritated, but actually trying to hurt somebody. Would you agree?
I don't know if I'd say that. I think that people today have the belief that, and again, I don't think this is just like a woke thing. I think it happens on all sides. Although hold space is definitely more of a lefty term, at least for now.
Yeah.
But I think everybody thinks that their opinion is the most important opinion in the room. And then people will fight that vigorously and say, I don't think that, but, I just need to express myself. But that's my feeling. Okay. I feel that most people think that what they have to say is gospel. And the result of that is people get upset easily when they feel that their beliefs aren't being represented by other people. Not everybody, but it gets upset with that, but a good portion of the population.
I think some people just can't, as painful as it is to be talking to someone that vehemently disagrees with you, right? And it doesn't matter what side you're on. They vehemently disagree with you, and not only do they vehemently disagree with you, but they're very hostile, right? I don't know. I think some people use the word trigger to be extra to excuse their hostility. I mean, that's how I feel. I don't know if that's correct.
I'm sure it happens. It definitely does.
Because the thing I never want to be towards somebody is very hostile, and I think that never solves anything, and it never it never makes for a good discussion or a debate. I think that hostility is not the way to go, and as frustrating as it could be for any side of the spectrum, hostility is just not the way to go. But yeah, I don't think I've ever heard that phrase "hold space" before today. But yeah.
Well, I've heard that a lot, babes. So,
okay.
yes, I'm holding space for you today, as long as you agree with me.
Why can't people just say, I want to listen to what you have to say?
I don't know.
I care about your feelings. I care about what's on your mind. I appreciate you sharing with me what you want to share, right?
Yes.
Why can't people just say that instead of saying, I want to hold space?
You know what? I'm gonna try to do that, because I find myself saying hold space for people a lot. And I'm gonna try to say, I just want to listen to you.
Yeah, I think it's so much more clear. Mm-hmm. Instead of pretending to listen for 5 minutes.
5 seconds, 30 seconds.
Or 30 seconds even. Not even a minute.
Yes.
Anyway.
I'm sorry, I wasn't paying attention. I was on Facebook.
I was in Clubhouse.
Yes, I was on Clubhouse.
By the way, did you get your carrots?
Oh, I completely spaced on that, because I did go on Clubhouse. So
I
was in one of the space rooms, not hold space rooms, but where they were talking about space travel.
Yeah.
And they called me up to the stage because they had less people in there, but I didn't go up.
Yeah.
Because I didn't have anything interesting to say on the subject. Yeah. And two, I knew that you were going to come out soon. And I didn't want to be like, I got to go, my girlfriend's here.
She thinks I'm doing something constructive. I'm actually in a space room on Clubhouse. No, I'm just kidding. Yeah, but then they might ask me to say something, and I'm just like, I don't know. Oh, how did they do that? Did they just say, "Hey you," and that?
There's a button you can press.
Yeah,
and it'll say, "Would you like to come up on stage?" And you could say yes, or you could say maybe later. And I put maybe later. Mm-hmm. Then I silently left the room.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. So they didn't actually literally call you out.
No, they didn't say, Rick Hammond, come to the stage. Okay. We're holding space for you, bro.
We'll hold space for you for the remainder of 30 seconds.
Yes. And it took us 20 seconds to say your name, so make it snappy. Jaylo.
Yes.
Your friend is back in town.
Can we please not discuss this? This is very embarrassing.
Oh.
Sometimes I wonder if you do that to provoke me.
Oh, I would never do that, babes.
Really? Seriously?
Well, in any event.
It's very uncomfortable, okay?
I'm glad you have somebody to hang out with when I'm not here.
It's not someone to hang out with. It's just something I have to deal with.
Well, good. Good, babes. Good. Well, I'm happy for you, babes.
Yes.
But
I will say that I do not have, severe symptoms. I don't get severely irritable, or I don't, get really depressed and cry, because I know some women are like that, but it is uncomfortable just to say that. Okay, next subject, please.
Oh my goodness. We had trouble sleeping last night. I was having horrible indigestion. You were tossing around.
I didn't get to sleep until after 1.
Same for me. We talked for a little while around 1, because I was trying to play on Clubhouse and also on Instagram.
Oh goodness. But you figured that out.
Living that Instagram life. I set up an account so people could contact me from Clubhouse if they wanted to.
Right.
That's the only reason I put it together. And I also wanted to promote stuff that I'm doing there.
Yeah.
So, from what I understand, and I'm new to this, so I'm sure I'm completely wrong.
Yeah.
You can post text on Instagram, but it has to be under a photo. And I was trying to figure out, as a blind guy, how could I utilize this? Finally, it hit me. I could write a note that says, read the post down below, and that'll be like a photo I put. And then underneath the photo, I'll put my actual commentary. Mm-hmm. What do you think about that, babes?
I think that might work.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know anything about Instagram, and I personally don't care, but I think if you can use that platform to get people to listen to something on a Clubhouse that you put up there, I think that would be really cool.
That would be good, babes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes.
But enough about Clubhouse for now.
Yes.
Well, I'm sure it'll come back in conversations eventually.
I'm sure it will.
Yes.
Yes.
We've both finally fell asleep. I woke up a couple times, and then
I was really worried because I thought I heard you you were breathing funny or something, and I wasn't sure if you were gonna get sick or something because and I wasn't quite awake. Anyway,
I fell back asleep again and woke up around 9:30. It was 9:27 actually, and then I finally woke you up.
Yeah. Yes. Well, I just was not. My body was just not letting me sleep, and then I finally did. I guess I must have needed it, I suppose. Anyway, enough about that.
Enough about that, babes. Yesterday,
yeah,
we watched the series finale of Star Trek Deep Space Nine.
I enjoyed it. I thought it was bittersweet, and I understand you had some problems with some of it, but I thought it was very bittersweet. There are some things about the ending that I would agree with you on that should have been,
Yeah, different. Do you want me to give a little bit of commentary on it?
Yes.
Okay. I believe, if I remember correctly, it starts off that the Defiant is going into battle, and it's the new one that they got after the old ship was destroyed. So Sisko's like, okay, let's end this war. Then we go to Major Kira on the surface of Cardassia with Damar and Garrick. Mm-hmm. Now, I know recently I've been trying to do it where I focus on one storyline, but because these kind of collide, I'm going to still attempt to do that, but they kind of collide in an interesting way, so it's a little bit more difficult.
Yes.
Damar is starting, they're aware that he's alive, and they're starting to fight back against the Dominion.
Yes.
Finally, they show the founder lady who is hanging out with your buddy Wayoon. Uh-huh. And they're like, we got to do something. This other Cardassian comes in the room. But people are starting to rise up. We got to send a message to them. Mm-hmm. And they decide, you know what? From now on, whenever Damar attacks one of our bases, we are going to destroy a Cardassian city. And let's start by leveling one right now.
Yeah.
So they do it. There's a broadcast on their version of TV, and it's Wayoon basically saying, we just killed 2 million people. We want to be cool with everybody, so make sure that you don't support Damar and the Resistance.
Right.
Around this time, Mila, who is Garrick's old housemaid, goes up to answer the door. And she is pushed down, basically killed. Mm-hmm. These Jem'Hadar soldiers come down. Actually, this is a little bit later in the episode.
It is later, but it's okay. It's important.
Yeah, and this is also an inspiration for people to go and watch the finale.
Right.
Jem'Hadar soldiers come down, capture the 3 of them, and the order is given that we have to execute them. They have to be killed for what they did. Mm-hmm. But the Jem'Hadar are with some Cardassians who are not very happy about the 2 million people who were just killed. So they rise up, kill the Jem'Hadar, and then eventually get to a point where Kira, Damar, and Garrick are trying to figure out how to get into the headquarters of the Dominion. Mm. They start to laugh because it's such a weird situation. They want to storm the castle, but they can't get in. Finally, a Jem'Hadar soldier opens up one of the doors to throw out a Cardassian, the one who basically replaced Damar. They storm, get inside, but before they can, Damar is killed. Right?
Yes.
They make their way through the area and take over the main, bridge center of command. Mm. By now, the Federation has been fighting the Dominion, and the Cardassian ships have turned against the Jem'Hadar and the Brain and are fighting them because of what's been going on.
Mm-hmm.
So they're in a lot of trouble. I really like this part of the episode where the founder lady says, it looks like you're going to win the war, but you're going to lose so much that at the end of the day, you're going to wonder if it was worth it or not.
Yeah, it was really telling when she said it.
Yeah, and I think it's true in this episode. It's not like they have cake and ice cream at the end of it.
It's that's why it's quite because they all lost.
Mm-hmm.
They all lost a lot.
Yes, but we're gonna get there.
And we're gonna get there
soon.
Not quite there yet.
Yes.
And they have this. Should I mention that after this, you mentioned the part where she has accepted to go to trial.
Well, I was just gonna get there.
Okay.
Yes. Thank you for jumping ahead. So
you're welcome.
Yes. Oh. So Odo agrees to beam down. Founder lady's dying. He links with her. She agrees to go on trial. In exchange, Odo is going to go back and hang out with the founders for who knows how long. Probably forever.
He's going to help them out, yeah.
Yeah. The war ends. By now we found out that O'Brien is going to be leaving DS9 to go to Earth.
Yep.
To work as an instructor at the academy.
Yep.
And we know, because I forgot to mention this, I think I got it wrong. The episode started with Bashir and Ezri in bed. So
yeah. That was a really weird beginning.
They're now a full-on couple. They're not just making out.
No, yeah.
It's moved on to other stuff, Jaylo.
I know.
Yes.
Which is kind of strange. I think it's a weird coupling, but...
We go back to DS9. The treaty is signed. Mm-hmm. The founder lady walks past Odo and basically says something like, this is in your hands now, do what you will.
Yep.
We should also state that Denami and Adami
yes.
and Goldakat have gone to the fire caves in Bajor.
Yep.
And decided to start the process of unleashing the Pa-Wraith.
Oh, yes. There's a lot of fire that happens, literal fire.
Adami almost killed Goldakat, but the Pa-Wraith brought him back and changed him back into his own image.
Yep.
They're kind of fighting over everything. So we're going to get to that in a minute.
We are.
Back to the station. People, everybody, like the senior staff, is celebrating at Vic Fontaine. And Sisko gives a speech saying, I know that we're all going to go our separate ways, but part of us, a significant part, will always be here on Deep Space Nine.
Yep.
Everybody's having a good time. Ben has this realization that he has to finish his work and go down to the fire caves.
Yep.
So he leaves the party, takes the shuttlecraft down there, and a struggle happens. Adami burns up.
Yep.
Goldakat is pushed into this lake of fire with Ben. But Ben is rescued by the prophets, who said that you served your purpose, because when you were going into the lake of fire, that book that unleashed the Pa-Wraith went in too, and that traps them in there forever.
Yep.
So you're good with us, and you're going to stay here for a certain amount of time. Yep. You know it is time.
Yeah.
And we're just going to hang out here and smoke the peace pipe.
They didn't smoke anything.
Well, we're back at the station.
Yes.
And they're looking for the captain. They know that he went down to Bajor, but they can't find him. Mm-hmm. Cassidy Yates has a vision, and he says, I'll be back. I don't know when. It could be a year. Maybe wait. Did
you say Cassidy has a vision?
Yeah, you watched the episode.
Yeah, I know. So she goes down there. She realizes what happened, but go on.
Well, you don't agree with me that it was a vision, or what?
No, I just couldn't remember if she had a vision or if she actually went down there.
No. She had a vision.
Oh, she did? Okay.
Yes.
Okay, I did not know that.
Okay. Anyways, he says, I'll be back when I'm back. Just hold down the fort for me.
He's at the Celestial Temple at this point.
Take care of my kid. You're my baby mama. Be good.
He did not say that.
He did not say that.
He did not say that. In fact, the baby wasn't even mentioned.
Oh. Maybe she had an abortion. I don't know.
Hey.
Yeah. Whoa.
Hey.
It's for horses. Cassidy comes back, tells the crew what happens. Mm-hmm. By now, Odo is getting ready to leave, and he tells Kara, I have to do this for my people, but I do have one request. Would you be willing to take me back to where the shapeshifters are. I forgot
I forgot what it was. Yeah.
Yeah. She says, "Okay, about to leave." Quark comes up to him and he's like, aren't you going to say anything to me like I was a worthy adversary or you really respected me? And
he's like,
Odo's like, no. And he just walks into this.
Because he wasn't good with goodbyes.
Yeah, he just goes into the runabout.
He's like, no, I am not going to say goodbye to you.
Kira takes Odo to the planet. He shapeshifts from his regular uniform into this nice suit because he says, this is the way I want you to remember me.
Yeah.
She adjusts his bow tie.
Yeah.
He goes into the lake, which is basically made up of the Founders, and slowly becomes liquid as he's waving goodbye to her. As his hand is extended to her and hers to his.
Right.
Which is a very sad scene.
It's a very sad scene because that means the end of seeing Odo ever. Mm-hmm. It really is.
All right. Colonel returns, sees in Captain Sisko's office. Mm-hmm. Na comes in. They exchange words. He's like, okay, you're a lieutenant now, and I'm sure the emissary would be proud of you. He leaves. Mm-hmm. She plays with Ben Sisko's baseball. Yep. Goes out, is walking around, tells Quark that he could go to jail for placing bets on who the next Kai is going to be. Right. And then she sees Jake looking out into space at the window as the wormhole opens. She goes over, stands next to him. They look out together, and that's the end of the episode.
It's so interesting how that ends.
Yeah. I love the final scene of the episode.
Yeah, it's like, wow. It's kind of like they're looking out. I'm guessing it's because they're looking out to see if they can find their captain. Well,
it's a way of looking at. It's a representation of where he's at. I don't think they think that he's just going to fly outside of the wormhole or anything.
Yeah, well, they're kind of looking in. Yeah, I like that. I mean, I think that's a really good ending.
It's a powerful one too.
It's very powerful. Yeah.
I enjoyed this episode. Mm-hmm. A couple of slight criticisms I have. Ben Sisko is one of my favorite characters in all of Star Trek, not just this show.
Yeah.
But I do think that he should have died when he fell into the lake of fire with Dukat.
I have to say, I think I would agree with you on that. Because then it would have been a real ending to Sisko, and Cassidy wouldn't have to wait for him to come back because we don't know. It's
now this open-ended thing.
Yeah, it is, and she knows that she would have to raise their child on their own. In fact, I would say that she shouldn't have even gotten pregnant.
Oh, I completely agree with you. We've discussed that before. I think that's lazy writing.
I think that she should have just found out that he had this mission, because now the baby complicates this whole storyline. Like, okay, so now I have to wait for my husband to come back, and I don't even know when he's going to come back.
If he's going to come back in my lifetime.
Right, and is this baby going to be raised without his or her father? And of course, we'll never know that because it ended like that. So I think in this case you're right. As much as I wouldn't want him to die, I think it would have been a much more, it would be much more explanatory that way.
There's an interesting scene in the documentary, What We Left Behind.
Yeah.
And I believe the finale is called What They Left Behind.
What They Left Behind.
I think so. I could be wrong with that.
Okay.
And I checked, but unfortunately that would stop the recording.
Oh.
And I should have checked before this, but I'm Rick. I didn't do that.
I didn't remind you.
Yes. In the documentary, What We Left Behind, there's a scene where they reunite the old writers of the show, and they start brainstorming of ideas of what an 8th season would look like. Uh-huh. It's pretty interesting, but I mean, they've even said since then, listen, don't take this is what happened. Think of this as just some guys who worked on the show speculating. But just because we said it in the documentary, it's not fact that this is what would have happened in an 8th season.
Okay.
But it was interesting. Their thought was Sisko would come back after, I think, like 10 or 20 years. Uh-huh. By now, Kira would be a spiritual leader on Bajor, and she'd have to choose between her friends and the Bajoran people because there would be some corruption there.
Right.
I don't know. It was fun to watch, but
wow.
Yeah.
Huh.
That doesn't mean it's true.
That would have been kind of an interesting season if they decided to make one, which
I hope they don't.
I hope they don't too. I think it's kind of interesting to end on a cliffhanger, even though I don't like cliffhangers all the time because I want to know what's going on. But maybe it's good that they ended on a cliffhanger and just left it open to interpretation. I
like that we don't know if Cisco ever sees Jake or his unborn child again.
You like that?
Yeah.
Why do you like that?
I mean, I would have preferred that he died and that we just know for sure.
Yeah.
But it's better than, everything's okay at the end of the episode and we're hugging and Cisco's just going to go down to Bajor and retire.
Right.
I
think a lot of shows try to do that. Like it's a happily ever after thing. And I like that sometimes, but sometimes it's like, maybe it should have a more realistic ending. Like, we don't know what's going to happen in the future. Yeah. And we're going to end here.
We don't, it's not really happily ever after with this show.
No, it isn't.
Some good things happen, but they still have to deal with a lot of stuff.
Yeah. But that's what we have to deal with in life anyway. Life isn't always fair. Life isn't always sunshine and rainbows and all that, because it isn't. And we have to just deal with life, and life gives us a lot of stuff, and you just have to learn how to deal with it.
Now that you've seen a fair representation of the story arc of DS9, because there's a lot of episodes we skipped, but yeah. I feel that you got the gist of it.
I did. I can understand why you wouldn't want to show me some of the things, although I do want to. I am interested to see the mirror episodes, even though that we pretty much finished the series.
We can go back at some point.
Yeah, I think it'd be kind of fun.
Yeah, but what are your overall thoughts on the show?
I don't know why people don't like it. I really don't. And you were right when we first watched it. You're like, this is the kind of show that will make you think. And there are people that don't like it, but, bear with me. You may not know what you think about the first episode, but I think you're going to like it.
Yeah, give it a shot, because it takes a little while for it to grow on you.
Yeah.
Although I think you enjoyed it pretty quickly, because I remember we watched the first episode, which is called The Emissary.
Yeah.
And then we watched The Visitor, and then we went back to season 1.
The Visitor was great.
That's my all-time favorite Star Trek episode.
Yeah, that is a really great episode.
Yeah.
Yes.
What other thoughts do you have on the series as a whole?
I thought the cast for this show was amazing. I think, and a lot of them are still alive too. And I just think that they had a lot of chemistry together.
Yeah.
I thought it was really cool to know that Armin Shimmerman and the guy who played Odo when he was alive were really good friends, so that you can tell their chemistry on screen. Because they were in another thing together.
They were in a play like 10 years before this.
Yeah.
The guy who Renee said in an interview that I saw that Armin Shimmerman was probably his closest friend from the show.
And you can really tell that because of how they interact as Quark and Odo. They really do like each other in real life. And even though Odo doesn't really like Quark in the show, you can tell that, they're just... That's just acting. And
I like that because at the end of the episode, he says say goodbye to Quark, but he's prompted to do it by Kira, because he's like, tell everybody I said goodbye to them. I meant to say goodbye to them. And she's like, even Quark? And he's like, even Quark. But he doesn't do it willingly.
Yeah.
Like to me, you still get the sense like he still doesn't like Quark. He just doesn't hate him.
Yeah.
It's not like he thinks of him as his best friend or anything.
Right.
And most shows I felt would have gone the stereotypical route of, tell Quark, tell everybody I said goodbye, even Quark, because he really was a good guy.
Yeah. And they're, and they'll say something like, they'll have like a heart-to-heart conversation towards the end, and it's like, you know what? I really did like you. I just was playing around. Right?
Yeah, and I like that he didn't give Quark a hug or anything.
I thought it was so funny.
Or send him his address and say, send me a postcard.
Yeah, and it just shows just what kind of chemistry they really had. Like, they really played off of each other very well. I can only imagine if the actor who played Odo was still alive, how they would really interact with each other privately off the set.
Yeah.
If they were like, you did a really good job. I'm glad that they wrote that he didn't say goodbye to Quark. I only wonder that. But I mean, it seems like to me that they picked a really great cast for this Star Trek show.
And it's interesting too because it's not just the main cast, but the supporting characters. You get to know these supporting characters like Garrick, obviously.
Yeah.
Even though I'm not a big fan of his character, Brunt, Wei Yun.
Oh, yeah.
Wei Yun is great. Even though I hate him, I love to hate. But I love to hate Wei Yun. You know what I mean?
You know what's so funny though? That the same guy plays Wei Yun and Brunt, and they're completely different characters. Mm-hmm. But he's that good. I mean, Wei Yun is kind of a sniveling guy. Yeah,
I love to hate him. I love to hate Ducat.
Oh. Ducat is so good, though. The guy who plays him is so good.
Yeah.
And of course, we love to hate Kai Wynn.
Oh, of course.
I mean, and that's just a testament to how good these actors are. And I keep thinking, because when I was a kid, right? I told you this before. When I was a kid, I hated all the villains in movies and cartoons. Because, you hate the bad guys. And when you're a kid, you want the good guys to win. But I'm thinking, as I get older, I'm like, well, that's just a testament to how good these actors are. Because they really convince you that you should hate this person.
Yeah.
Right? You should really, really hate this person.
Yeah. I also really like that Major Kira was a former terrorist. And she doesn't apologize it. She's never like, I'm sorry I did these things. Right. She owns it.
Because she did what she felt she had to do at the time.
Yeah. I think that's really cool.
It is. And you told me you heard that you saw her in interviews and she said that she's really good. She seems very nice. She
seems like a really cool lady.
Yeah.
Yes. What would you? I know it's hard to do this.
I can't do that. Oh, you want me to grade it?
Yeah, on the whole series as a whole, from 1 to 10. Oh. If you can't do it, that's fine.
I would say a 9.
I would agree
because there are some issues with some episodes, but overall, I mean, the cast is great, the music is great, the acting is great, and there are some major episodes that are awesome. So I would give it a solid 9.
Yes. Yeah. And to me, a lot of it, we discuss this all the time. I have to believe I'm watching reality when I'm viewing either a movie or a TV show. I have to be able to suspend disbelief, I guess is how you would say it.
Suspend disbelief.
Yeah. And like with this show, I know it's not reality, but it makes me believe in shapeshifters for the time that I'm watching it. I can believe in the Cardassian Empire is a real thing. It's that good.
It really makes it seem like there is a world out there that is the Deep Space Nine world and the Federation of Planets, right? And it's funny because Earth is kind of mixed up in this crazy world. Mm-hmm. So and I keep forgetting, they're humans in alien, they're made up to look like aliens. I keep forgetting they're humans, and they sound funny with their makeup on.
And it's interesting in the time when we were always talking about diversity that this show really had that. So you had
it certainly did
a black widower who is in charge of things, and who had the son, but he's running the station. Yep. You have crew members from different species, I guess you would say. And you had a transsexual character in Dax, and
a transsexual.
Oh yeah.
What do you mean?
I would consider Dax a transsexual.
No, because she is. I mean, Jadzia is a woman, right?
Yeah, but she's lived the life of men too.
I don't know if I would call her transsexual.
I would absolutely.
I mean the memories that she has, right? Anyway, that's another thing.
That's another story.
But. Yeah, I mean, I think it was diverse, real. I think that really explains real diversity without being
hitting you over the head with it
without being overly woke, right?
Yeah.
It's not even woke at all. It's just diversity in its purest form, without any apologies for it.
Yes,
and I think that's what shows should be. You don't have to mention that this person is black or whatever, Asian. It doesn't matter. It's just
it is who they are.
It's who they are, right? I mean, and I like it, and especially in that time of the mid to late 90s, right? When this is going on. I like that they never really mentioned it. It was just, this is our cast and we love our cast.
Yeah, I agree so much. Another question I have for you is, what would you rate the first episode of the show, and what would you rate the series finale?
You're gonna do this to me? Yeah. Oh boy. First episode, I think it would be a solid 8.
Okay.
Second episode, I think it would be, or I'm sorry, the last episode would be a solid 9.
I would agree with you.
Okay, good.
I would agree with you.
Good.
And
I graded an 8, even though it's a really good score, just because I didn't know who Ben Sisko was. I didn't know the whole storyline with his his wife. I didn't even know about his son Jake and why they had to move on DS9. So I didn't know these characters.
I think it's not my favorite episode, but the more I see it, the more I like the pilot. Mm-hmm. And the thing I've always enjoyed about it, though, is it does do a really good job of introducing you to these characters and letting you know who they are.
I also like, too, that they bring back other actors to play different parts. Like, remember whose brother was that? Kern was the brother of...
Worf.
Yes, thank you. I think the person who played the voice of Kern, the actor who played Kern, I think he might have played the older Jake.
I think you're correct on that.
And I thought, hey, wait a minute. Is that the same guy? And I like that they bring him back, but it's not like a obvious thing, right?
Yeah, they don't like, oh, this is Jake from the alternate universe we created in that one episode, and now he's here, and what's this going to be like? He just is back.
Right.
As a different character.
But I like that Kern was given a job on DS9, and that was a good episode, but I think that they brought that actor back, and I'm glad that they are bringing really good actors to play different parts, because it really shows their acting abilities. Like the difference between Wei-Yun and Brunt.
Yeah, I only knew it was the same guy because they talked to him in the documentary.
What did he say about
Jeffrey Owens? I think his name.
What did he say about both characters, like playing both characters?
I think he said it was challenging because of all the makeup.
Oh,
he said something else, but I don't really remember it too well. But you don't. I mean, you really have to. You really have to be focused to know that it's the same person. Because Brunt and Wei-Yun are just so different.
They are,
and they don't even sound alike.
No, they don't, because Brunt is a Ferengi, right?
Yes.
Brunt sounds like he talks with a curled lip. Mm-hmm. Like he's only out for money, and he's kind of a weasel, a weasel in the Ferengi world. And and was it Quark that looked up to him? I think, right?
Quark didn't look up to him as much as he feared Brunt, because Brunt could put him out of business.
Yeah, and it's so funny because he kind of talked with a stiff curled upper lip, and he was a Ferengi that Quark apparently is scared of. And then you got Wei-Yun, who's a sniveling person that used to be in cahoots with Damar, and is sucking up to Odo because he thinks that Odo is a god.
Yes.
I only live to serve you.
I love the interplay between Wei-Yun and Odo. He's like, yes, God, what do you want?
But he was so good.
Amazing.
Yeah.
We know that my favorite episode is The Visitor. But I'm wondering, from your perspective, besides for that one, because we could go on and on about it, but what episodes of the series really stand out to you as being like the best of the best of DS9?
One of them was the 2 episodes where Nog breaks his leg.
Oh, and then they have to enlist Vic Fontaine to help out.
Right, and he decided to stay with him in his suite, even though he knew that Vic was not a real person. It's a hologram. He wanted to escape. And when he said that, I'm so scared, I don't want to deal with it, I don't want to deal with my life, and my life is forever changed because my leg is gone, and all he wanted to do was escape from his real life. And I think that it really is telling, because people, some people that go through traumatic things like that, losing a limb, PTSD, whatever it is, doesn't matter. Some people just completely disconnect from real life and they don't want to come back.
It's a very interesting commentary on that.
It is. And I think to myself, if something traumatic happened to me like that, and a couple traumatic things have happened to me, would I be able to find a way to get back to where I was before? I think I would, but I think it would be it would take a long time. It would take a while.
A quote that I love and I always butcher is, because I'm great with that. Somebody once said, "Great art is a lie that helps you see the truth." And the episode, It's Only a Paper Moon, where Nog comes back to DS9 after losing his leg and becomes obsessed with Vic Fontaine in his world, is a great example of that, because Nog isn't real and Vic Fontaine is even more fictional, right? Because no one on DS9 sees him as real.
Yeah.
Well, they kind of do, but you know what I mean.
Yeah, they treat him as if he's one of them, even though he's really a hologram.
But it does, in a way, help us see the truth about what can happen to somebody when they go through a traumatic experience. Yeah. We can retreat into these worlds of our own creation.
Yeah, and I wonder, and I think that was really great writing. And I wonder if the person who played Nog, who's no longer here anymore, unfortunately, if he had any part in... what did he think about the writing of this episode? Because I thought it was really impactful to me.
And Nog has such a huge growth from the first episode to the last one.
He grew a lot.
Because he's just this criminal kid, and then he becomes this responsible adult.
He does. He does. You know what I also thought was a really interesting episode, too, is when Nog comes back from the Starfleet Academy, right?
Yeah.
And he's staying with Jake.
Oh, that's a great one.
And by this time, Jake has his own apartment, right?
Yes.
And Nog is like, all right, you have to do this. And I think we have to get up and do some exercises. And he's like, Nog, what are you doing? You're not my friend anymore. You know? And it's like, it shows the growing up between two childhood friends. Jake may not be where Nog is, but Nog clearly has changed. And Jake is like, I don't know what to do with this Nog. He's not
the same
that I remember. We used to hang out a lot. But then they realize, wait a minute, we can still be friends. But realizing that Nog is really a responsible Starfleet Academy student. And it is actually taking his job as ensign very, very seriously. Because he wants to work for Starfleet. Mm-hmm. So, I like that one. I thought that was kind of a funny...
That's a good one. Are there any other episodes that stand out to you?
I told you about this one yesterday. The interaction between Jake and Ben on their spaceship.
Oh, yeah, where they build... That's the one where Ben went to Bajor to this conference. He comes back, and he had heard this legend that the Bajorans supposedly built this spaceship that traveled like 800 years before like the Cardassians explored space, or the humans. So he built a spaceship in his spare time, and him and Jake go on this adventure, and that's when you first hear about Cassidy Yates. I believe that's called The Explorers from season 3.
Yeah, I really like it because... you really see the relationship between father and son when they're together in a small spacecraft, and how they're working together to kind of, do some exploring. Because I think they were wasn't the spaceship supposed to travel with a lot of wind or something?
Yes.
It was kind of like a sailboat.
Correct. Yeah.
/ spaceship, and they were on the boat, and they were talking, and I think they were lost, and Ben and Jake mentions Cassidy. He's like, Cassidy Yates is. He's like, no, I think you guys I think you really should meet her. And I thought you're trying to set me up, and I thought it was really cool just to see just how close they are. And I think they had great chemistry anyway.
Oh, they were great together. One of the other things I liked about this show is there was a lot of different stuff with villains, obviously.
Yeah.
But you'd have a lot of episodes to where it was just the crew hanging out, right? And they're just doing regular stuff, but things get a little bit weird. But there's no real villain of the week fighting.
Did they in that documentary you saw, that Star Trek documentary? Did they talk to any of the villains, like Mark Alamo's?
They did. He's in it.
What did he say about
Mark
playing
is in it.
Ducat?
He said that it was a lot of makeup. I remember that being the main thing he said is all the time in makeup. Getting all that figured out was intense.
Yeah.
Which I would imagine it would be.
Yeah.
Are there any other episodes that stand out to you? I could give a couple of mine.
Okay.
I like, I forgot the first name of the episode. It's the two-parter with Garrick and Odo. The last part is called the Dias Cast. I wish I remember the first part. They named it something different, but it's the one where Garrick bombs his own shop to get Odo interested in this investigation. And they go. Odo ends up being kidnapped by Garrick when he rejoins the Obsidian Order. And then Garrick breaks him out at the end. In season 3, you remember that one?
I think so. That was a long time ago. Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
That's a really good one. One that I think we watched but we didn't really discuss here was a civil defense. And it was the episode in season 3 where Jake, O'Brien, and Captain Sisko are cleaning up an area and they accidentally trigger an old explosive that was left on the station by Cardassians. And the station almost blows up. And at one point, Gul Dukat beams onto the station and he can't leave. You remember? That's a really good one.
It's been a long time since I think I remember that one, but we've seen a lot, so I think I remember that one. It's been a while since we've seen it.
Yeah. I'll just name another one because I don't think we talked about it here. It's a two-parter where they go back to Earth in season 4 and you see the start of the war and Ben's deteriorating relationship with this admiral who used to be a mentor of his.
That was Ed what's his name? Eddington?
No, Eddington was the guy who was under Sisko's command and ended up being a member of the Maquis.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Yeah, this was when you first hear about Red Squad. It's also the episode where Ben's dad has a stroke, and I think it's the first episode with his dad in it.
Right. Okay, that's right. Because the Red Squad was the biggest and baddest group in the Starfleet Academy. Right?
Exactly.
They thought that they were bad.
Exactly.
And they thought that they could handle it, but they didn't know what they were doing because they had no experience.
Are there any other episodes?
Yes. I'm going to name 2.
Go ahead.
The one episode where Kira Norris ends up in the planet of Teroknor. She looks through that orb, and she ends up on the planet where
the station
of Teroknor. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
And realizes that Dukat has taken over. You remember that one?
Oh, you mean with the one with her mom?
Yes.
Yes.
The one with her mom, and I think her mother's name was Meru, right?
Correct. Yeah.
Yes. And how she was like, she was being provided for by Dukat with all the fresh veggies and fruit and anything she could eat, but didn't realize that she was being used by Dukat and that she never came back to her family, and she was planning to come back to her husband, and it didn't happen, and she sort of abandoned her children.
Including a young Norris.
Oh yeah, and it was interesting because the older Kira Norris, saw her younger self and was trying to protect her younger self. I thought it was kind of interesting.
Yeah, that's a great episode.
Yeah, because and she couldn't let on that was really her who she was going to be when she got older. That one was good, and then another one that really stood out to me that we watched recently was the one with Ezri's brother. That's
a powerful one.
That one's really powerful.
Yeah,
yes.
and he ends up going to jail at the end of it.
He did. And he killed, who did he kill?
He killed this lady who was Bilby's wife, and Bilby was somebody who O'Brien had befriended earlier, like a year earlier.
Yeah, and there was like, she was trying to encourage him to, because remember he was like a struggling artist, right?
Yep.
She was trying to help him out and say, you should do something fun for a while. You should hang out with me. We should do something. But she didn't know what really was going on with him and why he would kill this woman.
It was great.
Oh, that was and it's such a telling episode because you hear about killers, right? Mm-hmm. Who come from surprisingly good families, to the outside world, right?
Yeah.
But you wonder, how did they not know that something was wrong with this person that they were living with for so many years?
I also like it too because it shows a huge problem in a family, but Esri's part of the senior staff, so it's not just like it was some lieutenant who you never see again. It's a member of the senior staff whose family is weird. I don't know if most shows would go there. Like, I don't think you'd see an episode of Law and Order SVU where like Olivia's brother kills somebody.
I haven't seen it in a while, but I would imagine maybe they might put that in there.
Yeah.
I mean, but they probably would do it differently.
Yeah, exactly.
They probably would do it differently, and this one is, I mean, they did it in a way that was so, and they did it with a different species, which is even interesting too. Mm-hmm. But you wouldn't think that the quiet struggling artist would be the one to be the criminal who actually murders somebody.
Yes.
You would think it was the more gregarious person that was more outgoing that would be the one to kill someone.
Yeah. So there's a lot of good episodes here.
Yeah.
I assume, based on what you said, that you would recommend the show to people who you know in real life at some point.
Oh, certainly, yeah. If they were Star Trek people, definitely.
Yes.
I think that this and I'm not much of a Trekkie. It says a lot for me because I'm not a Trekkie. I don't know much about Star Trek, but this is a show worth watching.
Absolutely. It's an overlooked gem, I think.
It is an overlooked gem.
Before we leave the discussion, I'm just going to throw out character names and just to get your thoughts because we already kind of know mine.
Okay.
Okay, let's start with Garrick.
Garrick is so charming, but he also was a Cardassian spy, so I don't know what I think about him even today.
You don't know if he's good or bad?
No, I don't even know. I don't know what to think. I think that he's really funny. I think that he's just basically a charming guy, but is there some deceit there? I don't know.
We know there is. Like, I love
think that there is
Garrick episodes, but I would not trust him.
But it's not like obvious to me. Right?
Yeah.
I don't think I would trust him. I would only trust him to hem my dress.
That's about it.
And have an adventure with him on a shuttlecraft. But I would let him hem my future wedding dress if ever.
Let's go with Galdacott's daughter. I forgot her name.
Ziel.
Ziel.
Yeah. I felt so bad for this girl because Kira took care of her. Dukat was going to kill her because she was their him and his mistress's love child, right?
Yep.
He was going to kill her. He didn't really form a relationship with Ziel until she got back to the station, and somehow he wanted a piece of Kira because
of the relationship
with
what? Marie. Because Galdacott wanted a relationship with Kira because of his relationship
with the mom,
Marie.
which is really sick. Actually, It's very, very sick. And how he was trying to get to Kira through his daughter Ziel, and that Ziel could have been a really good artist, but she was killed, unfortunately. And what could have happened to Ziel if she would have been alive? Could she have ended up marrying Garrick? I know that Garrick and Ziel may not have worked out, but I would have liked to have known what would have happened between the two of them. But But it seems like Garrick has moved on anyway, so yeah.
He's no longer exiled from Cardassia.
He's no longer exiled from Cardassia.
That's a great scene in the final episode that we didn't talk about, but people should watch it for themselves.
Yes.
With him and Bashir. So what do you think of Bashir?
I like him. I do. I think sometimes he's very serious, but I think he knows how to have fun. And I like his interaction with Miles O'Brien.
Yeah.
He's like besties with O'Brien, and they spend more time together. They know everything about their love lives, and you know, it's so funny.
What do you think of O'Brien?
So I learned a lot about him with the PTSD episode. Right?
Hard time, yeah.
That was I didn't like that one because of how heavy it was, but I think I appreciated seeing that one because I know more about O'Brien and how just how he was going through that and how things could just make him angry because of PTSD and what he went through with that. I have an appreciation for him now after seeing that.
Jake.
Jake. I like him too. I thought he grew a lot. I thought it was touch and go with his. Remember when he was becoming he was a reporter, right?
Yes, and he stayed behind on the station.
Yeah, I think he did have a lot of growing up to do, and I would imagine he grew, but I think he could have gone. I think he should have gone with his dad. But it was a touch and go thing with his reporter status, right? He was a reporter for what again?
I think it was Starfleet magazine.
Okay.
Something to that effect.
Newspaper? I don't know.
No, not a newspaper. It was like a magazine.
A magazine? Okay.
Yeah. Digital, of course.
I think that there was a lot of growing up that he should have done, and I can understand why Sisko was really angry with him because they were going through a war, and he should have been there. But hopefully he learned his lesson. But I did like seeing Jake grow up.
What about Rom?
Rom, so funny. Not the sharpest tool in the Ferengi shed. But I think he's a lovable guy. I think he truly does love his brother and his Moogie.
And his son.
And his son. And I think he is not the normal Ferengi you would see, right? He's not like the Grand Nagus. He's definitely not as money hungry as his money hungry older brother Quark. And Quark has always kind of taken care of him, right? Mm-hmm. But I think Rom is just a lovable, not so smart Ferengi that I've grown to like. Actually, he kind of grew on me, and it's funny. Like his interaction with Lita is kind of funny too.
What do you think of Lita?
I'm not sure what to think about her because we didn't really see her much. I thought she was kind of a flirt in the beginning, honestly. I thought, is this some kind of a floozy that wants to go out with Julian Bashir, or what have you? But
yep.
I don't know. She was kind of, well, I mean, because remember when she was with Julian? I
do, yeah. And they go to that
Ryza
with Worf and Jadzia.
Right, and Lita was kind of like a flighty type of a runaround. Was she Bajoran?
She was a Bajoran Dobble girl.
A Bajoran Dobble girl. She was kind of like a runaround Bajoran Dobble girl, and I didn't think that she would ever settle down and marry Rom. So I wasn't sure what to think about her. I don't know if I like her or not. She's one of those characters that I'm not too sure of. Would that be a fair assessment?
It's your opinion. I think that she's a nice lady, but she's probably just a little bit ditzy.
I would agree.
Yeah.
I think that's what I was trying to explain, but yeah, I think she is ditzy. Kind of flighty.
What do you think of Admiral Ross?
I don't know. Just because there were so many few episodes that were few and far between that you saw him on, so I really don't have anything to say about Admiral Ross, I guess.
What about Brent?
Don't like him.
Don't like him.
not Commander Brunt. I don't know about Ross either, but the actor who played him was very good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
General Martok.
I wasn't sure what to think about him because I know that in the beginning he was very much against Quark. I'm not Quark. I'm sorry, Worf. Remember, because he was from the House of Moog. But I like how he grew in the show because I wasn't sure that he wanted to be really. I wasn't sure if he was ever going to be in cahoots with the rest of the Deep Space Nine crew. But I like him a lot.
I think he is very underrated.
Yeah.
As a character on the show.
Yeah.
He's not my favorite, but he's good. He's solid.
He's not my favorite either, but I like how he eventually blends in with the rest of the crew.
That's a fair assessment, I think.
And that he likes to share bottles of blood wine.
Vintage 2309.
Yes.
What about Nog?
Oh, I have so much to say about Nog. I think Nog is a great character. We've talked a little bit about how much he grows, and I just liked seeing how much maturity he's gotten from being an ensign to now being a lieutenant. How he worked his way into Starfleet Academy, and how Cisco really wanted him to prove himself because he was kind of a mischievous kid, and I really liked how he grew. He just grew so wonderfully in the show.
I know this is off topic, but we will. It's a quick aside.
Right.
Do you think, even though it's never said, I mean, it is said by Kira, but we never hear Ben express it. Mm-hmm. Do you think that Ben has a sense of pride over Nog by the end of the series?
Yes.
I would agree with that.
Yes, I do. He may not have said it, but I think he really does appreciate how much Nog has grown into a young lieutenant. Mm-hmm. Right?
I would agree.
Yeah.
What about Jadzia?
Very smart. Very smart Trill. Maybe too smart for her own good. I thought she was very interesting because she knew a lot about Klingon culture and music, and it was so funny when you saw the scenes where Worf was singing Klingon opera and and how they kind of got together where they were fighting each other, and that's how the Klingons do it, you know? Mm-hmm. I just think, yeah. Oh, I forgot to mention an episode that I did like.
Go ahead.
I remember.
Yeah, go ahead.
When Quark sees his lost love again.
Oh, that's Profit and Loss. That's a great one from season 2.
Yeah. It really shows that he actually cares for somebody, and you don't see it usually. Usually it's like, I want to swindle you out of money, but I want to have fun doing it.
Yes.
Right? I want to have a lot of fun, even though, I want to get all your money, but I'm going to have a good time. And you're going to laugh, And he was willing to give up everything to be with, what's her name? Natima?
I think so.
Yeah. And she was like, oh, I know you, we want to be together, but we can't,
That's an amazing episode.
Yeah. And when you said that it was supposed to be a comedy and he did it as a drama and they liked it, I think that was a smart idea.
I think that's one of the reasons this episode is so memorable and sticks out to me as a great episode.
Yeah.
Yes. What do you think of Damar?
I still don't know what to think about Evie.
And I like we do. It takes, with a lot of these characters, we don't know them from season 1, 2, 3, or even 4. Like, I don't think Damar appears until, like, maybe he has, like, one line in season 5.
I think Damar's really too complicated for me to say if I like him or not, because I really don't know. Just like Garrick. Mm-hmm. Garrick is charming, but he's also a spy. Damar was in cahoots with Weyoun, but then he was with, he died when he was with Mila, Garrick, and Kira.
No, he died later on.
Oh, he died.
They were trying to break in.
No, he died later on. I mean,
yeah.
but he was with them.
Yep.
And so I really don't know.
I would say that's a fair assessment. I like Damar, but I could see why people would have some issues. Listen, I wouldn't invite him to a dinner party. I think it would probably be a little bit too intense.
We can call it Dinner with Damar.
Dinner with Damar. That'll be my new podcast.
Just kidding.
But I did think he was a good character on the show.
Yes.
What did you think of the founder lady?
I did not like this woman. She was very cunning. She wanted to link with Odo several times to do some convincing on her part.
Yes.
I think she was very, very sneaky about that. What did you mention about the linking, the Great Link, and how that might be symbolism for drug use?
Well, just because I know that when some people have taken drugs, they say that, depending on what you're doing, they say that it's like a spiritual connection. Like you feel this weird connectivity that's very hard to place into words. And the Great Link is kind of like that. And if you remember the episode where Rom gets arrested, I believe it's in season 6, when the Dominion has control of DS9. And he gets arrested because Odo is in the Great Link. And Odo becomes so addicted to the Great Link that sometimes he'll go for days just
that's right, because
he
was missing. Yeah, he was missing. Okay, yeah, I remember that. Okay, so no, I didn't like the founder lady and the derogatory way that she referred to Odo's humanoid friends as solids, right?
Yep.
It's very derogatory because they don't think that solids are really worth anything, and they always try to desolidize. I don't know how I would say it. But they were just demonizing. That's what it is. Demonizing the solids for no apparent reason, that they were just different than them. And that Odo was humanizing the humanoids, his humanoid friends.
Yeah.
Because of how connected he felt, and he just never connected with his people.
Okay, let's bring up another character. What did you think of Kai Wynn?
I did not like her. She's more evil than the founder lady, actually.
I would absolutely agree, because at least the founder lady has something she wants to spread and wants to get Odo back into the mix. Kai Wynn is just out for herself, and she's hiding behind this religious mask, in a sense.
I would, if she were in the real world, I would label her as very self-righteous. Like she thinks, oh, I'm Kai, so I can do what I want and I can use it to my ability, and you're just underlings. You know, you're just novices at this.
Yes.
So I would say that she's very self-righteous and kind of holier than thou. That's what it is. That's what she is.
What did you think of the original Grand Nagus? Because he leaves at the end of the series.
I know.
That's why I phrased it like that. Grand Nagus Zek.
I kind of liked him, though. I thought he was very charming. I didn't think he was... You know, remember that episode where he was changing the... what was it? The something of acquisition? The rules of acquisition. I thought that was hilarious.
That was fun.
I think he's really funny. I don't even think of him as like a leader. A leader, like a money grubbing Ferengi person, right? I think he's a leader, but he's having fun being a leader. Yeah. And I think Wilder Shawn anyway is a good actor. So funny. And how he ended up with, I forgot how did he end up with Quark and Rom's mom?
I don't even remember, to be honest.
Because I'm like, wait a minute, he's with the mom?
Yeah, at some point they end up together.
I think he's just funny. I think he's hilarious.
Let's move on to Vic Fontaine.
I like him. I think he's so cool. I think he's slick Vic. He shows Nog the truth without having to really show him the truth. Remember when he's talking to Quark about being a bartender?
In the last episode, yeah.
Yeah, that was great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like that the characters consider him a friend.
Yeah.
So I really enjoyed the episode. I think it's called Bada Bing, where they go into the holosuite to help him out.
Yeah, with the biggest thing.
When you think about it, it's like a meaningless episode. There's no real consequences if they fail. But they're so obsessed with helping this hologram because to them, he is real.
And you're talking about the Vegas one, right?
Yes.
That one was fun. That's another episode that I liked. That was a fun episode.
Mm-hmm.
I like the part when Cisco distracts the people and he throws the money in the air.
Yeah.
Hey, everybody, look! And Nog is trying to figure out the combination to this.
To the lock, and he can't do it, and everyone's getting upset.
And he has to hurry because I think he has like
very little time.
Right?
Yes.
And he's like, I can't figure it out. And he finally gets it. And then Cisco distracts the people by throwing money in the air. And I think Cisco and Vic do a number at the end.
That's great. I believe that's the episode. Yeah, you're right.
That was a fun episode. I really liked that a lot. Was it a two-parter?
No, that was just a one-off, but it was really good.
And how they were killing off holograms, I think it was. Frankie and...
like Big Johnny or something.
But that was a fun episode. I just really liked it a lot.
That's
I liked how they did that. Anyway, okay, go on.
All right, Worf.
Worf is another funny one too. I think he's funny, but he can be very, very serious. And I think he's one of those characters that Jadzia was trying to get him to lighten up a little bit. Jadzia is really smart and she can be serious, but she knew how to have fun. You know, would you say?
I would agree with that.
She knew how to have fun, and she wanted Quark to have fun along with her. I mean, Worf, I'm sorry. Yeah. Worf.
And it's weird. I know you didn't grow up watching TNG. You've seen a little bit of it with me. But Worf is a main character on that show, too. So it could have easily backfired bringing him on, but I felt that he did add something to the show.
Yeah. Did you see, did he talk on the documentary about being Worf for so long?
He did talk about it, and he said something about, I can't remember if it's a documentary or somewhere else, that he developed some skin issues because of all the makeup.
Oh, no.
Yeah. I don't think it was like overly serious, but it definitely became something that he had to deal with at some point.
Oh, not good.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay. Did that get resolved or?
I don't think he mentioned whether it did. I'm assuming it did, though.
Okay. Well, it's funny because of his inflections, like, he kind of talks like this, and he's very serious. And he said that he wasn't like that in the interviews, right?
Michael Dorn seems like a much more down-to-earth guy, and he's the actor who plays Worf.
He's so good, though.
Yeah, he's great on the show.
No, I think Worf is a great character. I mean, I know that he goes, he has a hard time with his son, and I know he obviously had some family issues, and he was adopted by the Rashenkos, and
I also felt like they used him better on DS9 than they did on The Next Generation. Like, he was there on The Next Generation, and they had some good episodes with him.
Yeah.
But I feel he really came into his own on DS9.
He really thrived.
Yes.
He really thrived, and I think they put him to very good use.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. All right, what about Gul Dukat?
Don't like him, don't want to have dinner with him, I don't want to be alone in the room with him, but I would love to talk to Marco Lamo about how he enjoyed being such a villain, because he really was. He was always, you would think that Kai Wynn and Gul Dukat would get along better, even though Gul Dukat has tried to
exterminate her people.
Yes, exterminate her people. But they didn't. I mean, after she found out that he was not Anjo, and she just completely turned against him. So you get the same kind of people in the same room. It doesn't always work. Gul Dukat has always been for himself. Never thought about the little guy. He especially, I don't even know. Maybe towards the end he started to love ZL more, but I think he was really in it for himself.
She was a prop for him to get to Major Kira.
Maybe he realized that he really did love her, but in the midst of all that, when she was alive, he never treated her like that. If
you remember, he kind of made up with Damar after Damar killed her.
I think you're right. Yeah.
Yeah.
But he was always a schemer. Always a schemer.
Yes.
Don't like him. I think the actor is wonderful, but
we have not really discussed. I mean, we have, but what were your overall thoughts of this character called Quark?
I really like him. I think he's also charming like Garrick is, but you know he's going to swindle you out of money. He's like, if I was thinking of kind of a character like a mystical, magical being I could consider him, I would think he would be like a mischievous elf.
That's a good interpretation.
A mischievous elf who just wants to have fun with you, even though he wants to take your money.
Yes.
He may or may not give it back, but
he'll make you laugh in the process.
He will make you laugh, and you might actually like him. But don't give him money. No. Give him food. Live worms.
Yes.
No, don't be around him when he eats live worms, but, you know. But also, he doesn't want you to be stingy with your money.
No.
Don't ask him for money.
Oh, for sure you don't want to
Don't want to ask. He doesn't want to give you any latinum.
Unless you're going to get like this huge interest rate, then maybe.
I'll pay you 5 bars of latinum if you just give me like $15.
Oh.
No. I really enjoyed him. I thought he was fun. I wouldn't consider him a villain, but his priorities were not always in the right place.
He's a fun adversary.
He is. You can't say a lot about fun adversaries, but he's really fun.
Yes.
Yeah, I think that Goldicott and Kai Wynn are true adversaries, but he's just a fun one that likes to swindle people out of money once in a while. And he's just so funny. I don't know.
In my mind, I just went back to the scene. I think it's at the end of Civil Defense where they get out and Quark is talking to Odo and he's like, who do you know who's more cunning than me? And he's like, the Grand Nagus, your brother Rom. And he's like, my brother Rom.
I like the one about what was his cousin's name? Cousin
Jaylo with the moon.
Cousin Jaylo with the small moon.
Yes.
Oh my goodness, yeah. Fun guy.
Morn.
Morn's another one I think is really funny because he's like one of Quark's best friends, but you never see him talk. You might actually see him laugh a little bit, but I think the who mourns for Morn really brings that out.
That's a great one.
That is so funny.
Yes. Or at least a really good episode. It's a fun one.
It's a fun episode. It's not so much funny, it's just fun, you know, and and his supposed wife that called him Morny. I think there was only one time you see him laugh at one of his jokes.
I think maybe once, yeah.
And you said he looks like a weird alien, right?
It's very hard to describe him, but yeah.
Did they talk about Morn in a documentary?
Not really. I mean, the only thing, and I think I might have heard it on a podcast or read it in a book, is he's supposedly the fans of the writers on DS9 when they were creating the show. They were big fans of the show Cheers, and so Morn is Norm spelled backwards, and that's why they created him as a sort of like a fun, side character.
I think you may have told me that. That's hilarious.
Yes.
That is really funny.
Yes.
Yeah. Yes. So Morn is funny, a funny side character who's just sitting in that warm chair at Quark's.
Doing a good job at it.
Right,
yes.
Right.
What do you think of Major Kira?
I like her. I really like her. I think, despite the fact that she used to be a terrorist, right?
Yeah.
She has become more religious, more devout to her Bajoran faith. I think she's a person that women can look up to if you're thinking about like a model species.
Oh yeah, like if you have maybe a 10 or 11-year-old daughter and you want to show her a show where there's a great female protagonist, DS9 and Major Kira are good representations of that, I think.
I think so too. I mean, even though she had PTSD from her time as a young terrorist, and she doesn't apologize for it, but it seems like she has a lot of regret. Mm-hmm. Right? You can tell that there's remorse. I think I think that she is a representation of women that want to start over again from whatever lifestyle they had. If that's, I don't know if that explains it, but
no, that's your opinion of it. That's
but I think that she's a really good female protagonist.
We got a couple more characters to go.
Yes.
One of my favorites is Odo.
I love Odo. I think Odo. I grew to love Odo. I wasn't too sure because he seemed kind of rough around the edges.
He still is at the end of the series, but he means well, though.
He does, but I really like him. I also like how he interacted with Kira and Jadzia. You know, because he didn't eat, right? He would go to breakfast with people, but would never eat.
Yeah,
because he doesn't eat, and you know, and it was just sad to see about things that have happened to him in his own personal life with loves, and you know, when he had that changeling baby and how he wanted to take care of that baby, but
and it died.
Yeah, how that baby was being molded by Odo and how loving he was towards the baby,
and his relationship with Dr. Mora.
Yeah. How he learned so much from Dr. Mora, even though he didn't appreciate it then.
Or the episode, A Simple Investigation, which I think is a very underrated episode where he falls in love with that one lady who didn't have her full memories.
Yeah, but he fell in love with the woman who forgot her memories, and then she found out who she was and told him that the other woman loved him as well. And I was like, wow, that's really sad.
Yes.
That is really sad. Was she a human?
No, I forgot the name of her species, but she was definitely an alien.
I think her name was like Larissa or something, or
Alyssa
or Orissa.
Something
Orissa,
like that, yeah.
Orissa, something like that. Something with an Issa in it, but that was a good one too. Yeah, he's a complex guy, and he's a very lovable person. I really liked him a lot.
I agree.
Yeah.
What do you think of Esri?
I think she's a nice lady. I just don't know that they should have added her into the crew.
I agree.
I think she's very ditzy, but
yes.
I'm getting space sick. I think they should have trained her. I really do. Then she would have been able to handle all of her other memories from other people. I do think she means well, but she's very ditzy. She's very confused. As Worf said, very confused. Yes. He's an overgrown child, and she is very confused.
That's great.
Very true.
What do you think of Ben Sisko's dad?
I do like him. I think he seems very disconnected from the Deep Space Nine world, though. Right?
Yeah, he's only in a few episodes, but he's fun now.
I think he's fun, and I like that he had a restaurant and his, remember when Sisko left for a time to help with his dad's place?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, because he wanted to take a break from everything.
Mm-hmm.
I remember that one, too. I did like his dad, and I also liked him when he played that prophet in that 50s episode.
Oh, that was
Beyond the Stars.
Yeah, Beyond the Stars. That's really.
Is it called Beyond?
Far Beyond the Stars.
Far Beyond the Stars. Yeah.
That's an amazing.
When
episode.
he plays the prophet, and he calls him Brother Benny. You know, I thought that was really great.
Yes.
Yes.
I guess we should wrap up with the discussion of the Emissary. Also, one of my favorite characters, Ben Sisko.
Oh, wonderful. I mean, I noticed that he isn't just a complex guy, but he had to make some decisions where he didn't want to make those decisions. Remember when he had to kill a bunch of, was it a bunch of Cardassians or?
Are you thinking of?
He was trying to make Eddington be the hero of
that
this
was
war.
For the uniform, and he released this thing into an atmosphere of the planet that basically killed off all life, and I think something like 100,000 people died. That's a great episode.
Yeah, I still liked him afterwards because I think that he had to struggle with these decisions, right?
Yes.
And that's what makes Sisko and a great emissary, and he was still respected afterwards.
Yeah, he's complicated too because he's killed a lot of innocent people.
Yes.
But amazing.
He is an amazing father, an amazing captain. Everybody respected him. There were people that were his enemies, but he fought back against them. I don't think someone should hate him because of the decision he made. I think that it just shows the imperfectness of the human mind, and how sometimes we have to be faced with these decisions in our own life. And
also, what other show do you see a character who is a complicated war hero and also a spiritual leader?
Nothing except for this one.
Yeah, I think they may mention that in what we left behind.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, cool. I think that's it. Unless, did we mention Cassidy Yates?
Oh no, we didn't.
Okay, real quick.
She's a complicated person too. I really liked her. I thought it was interesting too that she was a freight captain to the Maquis, who are the enemies of the Federation, right?
Yeah.
One of the enemies of the Federation. And she had to go to prison, even though she was still deeply involved with Captain Sisko. She had to go to prison, and she had to serve her time in prison. I thought that was kind of interesting. That they still remained together even though she was in prison.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Great series, babes. I'm glad you let me take you on this journey. Is there any closing words you want to say? I feel we said a lot, but if there's anything else.
I recommend Deep Space Nine to anybody that really wants to know more about the Star Trek universe. I do want to watch more Star Trek, the original series and TNG with you too.
Yeah.
If we can next.
Absolutely.
Because I'm really interested to see the how much it evolved, I guess. Just to kind of make comparisons as to how much it evolved into DS9 and also where it came from.
That's fair. We will definitely be exploring more Star Trek, and maybe eventually, I'm sure we will come back around and watch a few episodes of DS9 that perhaps I failed to show you the first time around.
That's okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I'm glad you liked it, babes.
It was awesome.
Yes. That was a long discussion, but I felt it was a good one.
That's okay, but we do need to discuss the other stuff we watched.
The movies.
Yes, the movies.
Do you want me to take the lead on The Man Who Knew Too Much, and then you could handle 42nd Street?
Yes, I could try.
And maybe we both agree that since they were difficult for us to follow for whatever reason, we will chime in on each other's movie.
I think we should do that, yeah.
Wrap.
And you don't have to make it a long one.
No.
Yeah.
We decided to watch the original Alfred Hitchcock movie, The Man Who Knew Too Much, from, I believe, 1934. 20-something years before the Jimmy Stewart remake.
Yes.
In this film, it starts off, they're at some sort of this weird competition. Some guy runs out into the crowd. The wife is shooting something. And the daughter, interrupts the wife. She says, "Go back, honey." And I believe they're in Germany?
Yes. I think you're right. That's their little girl, Betty.
Betty.
Yeah.
Do you remember the husband and wife's name?
The Lawrence family. So it was, I forgot their names, Bob, and I think her name was Julia or something. Julia Lawrence. They're from Britain.
Yeah, we could just call them Mr. and Mrs. Lawrence.
Mr. and Mrs. Lawrence, and they were taking a vacation in Switzerland.
Mrs. Lawrence loses the competition. Mr. Lawrence tells the guy who beat her, "Oh, you did an all right job," and he makes a joke about it. They go off dancing. The guy who beat Mrs. Lawrence is shot. Mm-hmm. And he tells the lady he's dancing with, "Have Mr. Lawrence go up to my room and get this thing out of it." Mm-hmm. He goes up there. It gets the thing. There's a note basically saying, "Search for this guy." I think his name was Barber. In England?
Yeah.
They go back to England. There's a confrontation with the police. While this is going on, their daughter, Betty, is kidnapped. Mm-hmm. And Mr. Lawrence tries to get the message to Mrs. Lawrence, but the cops won't let him do that, so he has to kind of be passive-aggressive about it.
Yes.
He goes searching for the daughter, eventually he teams up with this guy. Who was the guy who was with? The guy who got hypnotized? And went to the dentist with?
I cannot remember what his name was, but it was quite a funny, I forgot what his name was, I'm sorry.
That's okay. I did too.
Yeah.
They go to this church. There's like some women's group going on.
Yeah.
And this lady running it hypnotizes Mr. Lawrence's friend and basically knocks him out.
I have to mention too that she was involved in the kidnapping.
Yes.
Because she called them up and said, if you are something, you have to do something or else you're not going to see your daughter again. And do you want to talk to the child, right? Because that's what they do, right? They let them talk to their child to kind of torture them. And she's like, I want to go home. But anyway, so yeah, she's a part of this women's group.
At one point, Mr. Lawrence starts throwing chairs and they get into this huge fight. And she tells somebody, play the organ so no one outside will hear. That was really funny.
Yeah, that was.
And they throw this chair that kind of like hits his friend and the friend still passed out. There's a person who's supposed to be killed, like this high-ranking official.
Yeah.
Mrs. Lawrence goes to the show.
Wait, hold on a second.
Go ahead.
Is there a reason? Because I remember you mentioned that dentist guy, right? Because remember he sedates the dentist.
Yeah, I forgot the reason why. There's a lot of confusing stuff.
Some guy got his tooth pulled, and
I think that was his friend who ended up going with Mr. Lawrence to the church.
Oh, I see. Okay.
I could be wrong about that.
And you don't see the dentist anymore because he's passed out.
Correct. Yeah.
Okay, so go on with the.
Okay, so the wife goes to the show. The official is supposed to be assassinated when the drum goes off, but she screams. It throws everything out of control. The guy lives.
Yes.
Goes to Mr. Lawrence, is being held captive, and so is the daughter. But there's some hustle because of what's going on. Some noise happens, and people are getting shot. Mr. Lawrence goes into the room with Betty, tries to get her safe. He gets shot. She ends up on the roof with one of the criminals. The wife sees him. She takes out her gun, shoots the criminal. Betty's safe. And even though Mr. Lawrence is shot, we get the impression at the end of the movie that he's going to be all right. I know that's a very quick explanation.
It's okay.
And I passed over some stuff, but this is... It was kind of odd to follow.
Yeah, it was really confusing. And we both understood that why Alfred Hitchcock may have remade it, because this one, you didn't know much about the couple. This older, this British couple, you didn't see the connectedness that they had towards their daughter because they didn't seem very connected to her.
I felt that the pacing was off in this movie. It went way too fast. There was some confusing things, and it didn't really hold up compared to the remake, which is kind of funny because remakes don't usually hold up a lot. And a complaint I oftentimes have about movies is they're too long.
Yes.
And in this case, my problem is it's too short.
It is way too short.
So you don't really get to know them like you do in the follow-up. Now, to cut Alfred Hitchcock a little bit of slack, I also don't think that he could have made the 1959 version in 1934 because, one, there's the technology.
Yeah.
And two, Jimmy Stewart and
Doris Day,
I don't know if they would have been of the right age to play these characters.
Right.
And I don't think that you could have had a film on the budget of the remake to really go on location in Morocco and do it right.
Yeah.
Like, for all we know, this was shot in either like Germany or England, and they didn't really travel from place to place.
Right. But compared to the 1959 one, Jimmy Stewart and Doris Day were good actors anyway. But they had a lot of chemistry, a really good chemistry. And they had chemistry with the little boy who was in that remake, as if they were a real family. Would you agree?
Absolutely. And again, because it's longer, you got to know these characters. You got to hang out with them on the bus in Marrakesh. You got to see them at dinner with the couple. You got to meet Doris Day's friends, which was the great ending to that movie, where Jimmy Stewart introduces them to the kid.
And I also think, I'll also say that the that ending was so much more funnier Well, it was. I wonder if they meant to do that for the Jimmy Stewart ending, right?
I'm sure they did. Alfred Hitchcock had a cool sense of humor.
It was so funny, and I liked how that ended versus the way that it ended in the first one, and I just couldn't follow the first one. The little girl did her best to play Betty, but I just like the way that the little boy interacted with his parents in the movie.
Yeah, it's a better movie, and it doesn't take anything away from Alfred Hitchcock to say that this movie isn't that good. In fact, you could even say that it makes him a better filmmaker because he learned enough from his mistakes to go back to the movie and redo it in an interesting way.
Yes.
Where most filmmakers, I don't know if they would do that.
Yeah.
I would give it a mild thumbs up.
Yeah.
Like a 6.
I would say the same thing.
It's not great. I'm glad I seen it, though.
Yeah.
And it makes you appreciate the remake so much more.
I mean, their remake was great. Yeah.
It's awesome.
It's awesome. Yep.
Yeah. Now, Jaylo. Normally we do character analysis, but I don't know if there's a lot to get to with these
I don't think that there's a lot to get to.
because they're not deep. And since we already talked about the remake, I feel like that's, I feel like we've already done it in some way.
I would agree. Yeah.
So I could say that we could just go on to the second film.
I think that's good, and I'm going to let you chime in too, because there's some things I might miss at this one. But we were able to follow the next one a lot better than this one. Obviously.
Yeah, we should say that after watching this movie, Alana wanted to see an older film too, another older movie, and I was down for that. And we're scrolling through HBO. I read the title, 42nd Street. I'd seen that it was on HBO before, but I never stopped to watch it. Alana, you knew that it was based on a play, but we basically went in cold with this movie. And I got to say right off the bat, I really enjoyed it.
Oh, I enjoyed it immensely.
Yeah.
I heard about 42nd Street because I think it was coming to Washington as a Broadway musical. And I knew it was a Broadway musical, but I didn't know that there was a movie that was made about 42nd Street. And I was very pleasantly surprised. And I thought it was fantastic.
Do you want to give a little bit of description?
I will try. So let me see. So I think it starts off with these women that are planning to audition. Were they auditioning?
Yes.
They were auditioning for this play that Julian Marsh, who is this producer, is trying to put on, and he
has some health issues.
He has some health issues. He calls this play Pretty Lady, and they're trying to find the woman that will play the main character. And there's a woman named Dorothy Brock, and it's implied that she's been in Broadway for a while. We don't know how long at this point because it's the beginning of the movie. Mm-hmm. And so they get the girl. They are looking at the girls, and I think that there were some risque parts where they were telling the director was telling them to lift up their dresses, and they had stockings on.
All you see is their legs, and today that's nothing. But you got to remember this was 1933 when the movie came out, and it's a much different time.
I think that if it was a bare-legged women, it probably would be a lot more risque.
And this was also before the Hays Code.
Yeah. Which I didn't know about until you told me.
Mm-hmm.
So anyway, so that was a little bit risque. Not too bad. And so they get the, I'm kind of skipping around because there's some little details in there that don't need to be talked about much. But, so they get the cast together for Pretty Lady. And they're rehearsing, and they're singing. The chorus of girls are singing, and they're getting the guys together to do that. And there's some very good singers in this movie. A lot of tap dancing and such. Dorothy Brock plays the main character, who's singing a song I think it's called "You're Getting to Be a Habit with Me." In the midst of all this, she's dating this man named Pat Denning.
Some people want Mr. Denning to stay away from her. And at one point, I think this is on her first date, he drops Dorothy off. These guys come over to him and kind of like punch him, leave him there.
Actually, they were dating before this.
Oh, I thought that was their first date.
No, remember when he called her Dot?
That's after that. That's later in the movie.
No. Remember when they were at a restaurant and he was saying, "I'm tired of hiding," and
Oh, I thought that was
sneaking in
another
doorways.
guy.
I don't know if that. I think that might have been him, right?
No, I think that's another guy.
Was it?
Yes.
Okay, maybe that was another guy. I don't know. Anyway.
Oh my.
So was it a first date? The first date is when he carries her out of the room, right?
No, that's later on that night, babes.
Okay.
What happens is he gets beat up. Dorothy takes him up to her room, and this Irish lady comes in saying, "I've been running this home for 19 years, and I've never seen such a thing." And I do a horrible Irish accent.
That was
apparently.
I remember that. That was the boarding house.
Yes.
Yeah, I remember that. Yeah.
She says, "Well, we can get a room, but I only have $1.50, so it's going to be kind of cheap."
Actually, that was the same guy. Remember, he told her that he was a doctor. That was the same one that carried her out of the room, and then they went out to eat.
What?
Remember when she got a dizzy spell, and she was rehearsing with the rest of the cast? She got a dizzy spell.
Yeah, no, I know.
He carried.
But you when you were talking about the restaurant earlier, you were talking about the guy who used to dance with her.
Yes,
that's
that
not
one.
Pat Denning.
Okay, it wasn't. It was a different
Because
guy.
why would Pat Denning? Why would they be introduced if she already knew him?
Okay, I'm sorry. Okay, because she does end up anyway. I'll explain that later.
All right.
So yeah, so
they go back to his place because they don't want to
place.
spend a whole $1.50 on a hotel room.
$1.50. He ends up carrying her to his spare bedroom, or his bedroom.
Yes.
And he ends up, I think, staying in the living room or something, and it's yeah, go. I think you should chime in here.
Eventually, he ends up moving to Philadelphia to sell. I forgot what it was, but he starts selling something. They break up, but the play also goes to Philadelphia because a theater fell out, and there's going to be an opening night. Mm-hmm. There's a party. She gets really upset because she hears this old dude who's one of the financiers, who kind of looks like the guy on the Monopoly board.
Mm-hmm. Wow.
Talk. Mm-hmm. She hears him talking about her. She kicks everybody out. Pat comes over, and then this young actress comes to their door because she hears that these guys want to beat him up.
That's I think that's Peggy, isn't it?
Peggy, yep.
Yeah.
Peggy comes to the door. Peggy upsets Dot.
Yes, Dorothy.
Yes. And Dorothy basically sprains her ankle. She can't do the show. They call in Always on Anna.
Anytime Annie.
Anytime Annie,
who's played by Ginger Rogers. I think she's the one that always has the dates.
Yep. Sounds like she's DTF to me. Anytime Annie.
Oh my goodness.
Oh, I bet she was something before electricity.
All right.
All right,
Go
Jaylo,
on.
Let me go on. Anytime Annie says, "Listen, I'm an attention whore. I really want this part. But if we're going to be brutally honest."
She never said that, by the way.
Yeah. Used to go with my girl,
Peggy Sawyer.
She's
like, her voice isn't as good as Dorothy's, but she can dance rings around Brock.
They call Peggy into the room, and they work with her for the next 5 hours, have the opening show, and Peggy, kills it.
Yep.
And at the end of the night, everybody's saying, I think she's going to be a celebrity.
Yeah, and they almost canceled the show.
Yep. The producer sits down. I forgot his name. Marshall.
Julian
Marshall.
Julian Marsh.
And that's where the movie ends.
Yeah, that was really fun. There was a lot of, and you do actually see the entire show towards the end.
You see a portion.
You see a good portion of it.
Yes.
Maybe not the entire show, but a good portion of it, and how good an actress the Peggy Sawyer was in that musical, and I liked what Dorothy told her before she got out, because I thought she was going to beat her up or something. Yeah. And she's like, "Listen, kid, you are going to be good. I did this for a long time. I was an actress for 5 years, and now it's your turn." So she basically gives her the baton, and she says, "You're going to go in there a kid, but you're going to come out there. You have to come out there as a star. Or you have to finish as a star," or whatever she said.
I like the behind the scenes thing where Peggy's waiting to go on, and the producer's like, "Oh, we got to do this. The fate of the entire company rests on you. Don't mess this up." Mm-hmm. I thought that was funny.
Yeah. And then how they she gets into where the cast is, and she quickly says her line, "Oh, Jim, it was so grand of you to come," right? Mm-hmm. And that was a beginning of the before the curtain call, and it was a super fun movie. And I think there was a part where he was working these dancers to death, right?
He tells them it's going to be 5 weeks of intense rehearsal,
yep.
And it's going to be like the hardest work you've ever done. But at the end of this 5 weeks, we're going to have a show.
Yeah.
You know what movie this reminded me of?
What?
And I'm not sure why. It's the Matthew McConaughey one where he's animated.
Sing.
Yeah. It kind of reminded me of Sing.
Really? Why is that?
I don't know. Just the idea of everybody putting on a show together and things are falling apart a little bit at the edges.
Except Sing, they're animals that
Correct.
Are putting a show together. And I thought that was very creative.
Yes.
Yeah.
I enjoyed this movie. I wish I could have followed it a little bit better. But I'd give it probably a strong 7 or a low 8.
I would give it I would give it a strong 7 for sure.
Yeah.
A strong between a 7 and an 8. So probably about a 7.5 to 8. Mm-hmm. Really fun. I thought that the music was great. I thought that the singing was really fun. Like I thought the men who were singing in this play was really, really good, actually. Well, except for the one guy that sounded like a sheep.
But besides that,
yeah,
it worked out.
The one guy that sang about being young and healthy, I thought he was a great singer.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's such an interesting reflection of the time, too.
Yeah.
Like when she says, Dot is like, I have $1.50, so we could get like a cheap motel room. I'm thinking, where could you get something like that today?
Yeah, what could you buy for $1.50?
Yeah.
Not a lot. But that was expensive back then. I mean.
Yeah, and we've decided that next week we're going to do a 30s themed.
I think that'd be really fun.
We haven't selected the movies, but I do think we're going to have a good time. What does Peggy teach us about showing up and doing the work?
Well, I think that she shows us that even though she wasn't an understudy for her, this was going to be her chance to show everybody that she can come out on top. She may be a novice, she may be a young woman, but she really was willing to do all the work at a moment's notice. It says a lot.
Yes.
About someone that's willing to do the work at a moment's notice.
What does Anytime Annie teach us about generosity?
Well, I think I was surprised. I thought she was going to be the one to do it.
I did too.
I thought she was going to be the one to do it. That really surprised me. I thought she's going to, because she basically said, well, I could do it, but I think you should give this girl a chance. I think that she saw potential in this young woman, and she said, you know what? Let her have this chance. I could do it, but she might actually be good. So I was very surprised. And she was even encouraging her to do it, and so was Dorothy, which probably gave her a really good boost of encouragement. And so that's how she was able to do it.
I look at it as Anytime Annie has some issues.
Yep.
But game recognizes game.
Yep.
And if you really care about the craft that you're a part of, regardless of whether it's you or not, you want somebody with a skill to succeed so that craft has a better spotlight shined on it.
I think back on my former flute teachers, right? The one that really stands out to me was my 8th grade band director. And one of them that stood out to me, he really gave me a chance. I mean, I was one of many students in his classes, but he knew that I had potential to be in a band with kids that were exceptionally good at their instrument, and then later on participate in a festival with with 600 other kids. I mean, how many kids get that opportunity to do that? And I think about that, I'm like, I am so thankful that one teacher thought I was good enough to have a chance at this. And I think that Annie and Dorothy knew that this girl had potential to make it happen for her.
Nice.
Yeah.
What does Marsh teach us about pushing ourselves too hard? Or about how, maybe we could phrase it that way, or about how insanity and creativity are kissing cousins, if you will.
What did he mention why he was sick?
We don't know the specifics, but we know that he has had mental breakdowns before. And his doctor says you risk dying or having another mental breakdown if you continue to work on plays like this.
Well, let's see. I've been around some insane, I don't know if insane is the right word, but I've been around some people that were like perfectionists, right? Mm-hmm. It's not always a good thing to be a perfectionist, but you also shouldn't accept mediocrity when you're working with performers or when you're trying to put on a show, right? But I think that it says a lot about pushing people to do better, because if you don't get that push, you're not going to work harder, right? You're not going to work harder to achieve that goal. And I think that's what he was trying to do. As much as I thought he was insane, working these people to death. But they gave a good show. They worked hard. They did what they were told to do, and they did it. They finished strong. And I think that's something that they could be proud of. And sometimes they need that push.
Yes.
Yeah.
Is there anything else you want to say about these characters? Maybe the old creepy guy who invested $70,000 into the show.
Yeah, the one that's like, have you ever been married? I thought he was funny. I wasn't sure if he was drunk. Well, one of the guys did get very, very drunk, though.
I think the old creepy guy did at one point.
Okay.
At the night before the debut. I don't think that modern audiences would really like him.
Yeah.
Because of, how creepy he is.
But there was the other guy. I remember that other guy that said that it's possible that Dorothy can't be in the show, right?
I don't remember that. It's possible I zoned out.
He was one of the guys that was at that party, but he was drunk too, and I think he was trying to get a hold of Dorothy.
That's the old creepy guy, babe.
Is it the old creepy guy? Okay, there was another one that was like, have you ever been married?
I'm pretty sure we're talking about the same
No,
person.
we're not. It's a different guy.
Okay.
Different guy. Two different people.
What do you think of the old creepy rich dude?
Yeah, it was weird.
Oh.
He was weird. That guy was kind of strange.
Do you think this movie, and I know you haven't read up on it, but is it possible that this is a accurate reflection of what working on plays was like on the East Coast in the early 1930s?
I would imagine so, and I'll tell you why. Because when I was in college and I was in the music program, my teacher was explaining to us that music schools on the East Coast, especially New York, like when you go to Juilliard, very competitive, right? Very, very competitive. You have to kind of prove yourself. And I think
I think they were
in New York.
Practiced in New York, but they debuted in Philadelphia.
But I would imagine that any kind of art schools on the East Coast have a competitive nature to them. That's how they run things. That's how I see it. On the West Coast, maybe not so much, but because I don't think competitiveness is always a good thing. But on the East Coast, yes, they're very competitive, and I think still competitive today.
Is there anything else you want to say about this movie?
No, I enjoyed it a lot. I think it's worth watching, and if you want a fun movie musical, I know some people don't like musicals, but I like them a lot, and this one is worth watching.
For me, it depends on the musical, but there's definitely some good ones out there.
Yes.
And this one felt good. Like all the music that is in the movie is up on stage.
Yeah. and they're actually doing it live, and I think it's fun. It's a lot of fun.
Yes. So see 42nd Street.
42nd Street.
Street of 40 seconds.
Yes.
Jaylo.
Yeah.
Let's talk about dinner.
It was really good.
What do we make?
We made some really good Asian noodles. I had like a bunch of ramen noodles. You were working on the noodles, and you also did the carrots, right? Chopped up the carrots, and you also cooked the broccoli.
Yep.
That was amazing. And then I was in charge of making the sauce, and I have to say, it turned out really good.
I thought it was good.
Yeah.
Yes. I wish you had like a little bit of a bigger pot just so we could have cooked all the noodles at once. And I wasn't doing it in batches.
I know.
But in the end, it came out tasting awesome, I thought. I
thought it tasted awesome. I have quite a bit left over to eat, and it's good stuff. Eventually, I would like to get a much bigger pot because I've been using smaller pots, and I want a pot that I can actually make, spaghetti in, or more, ramen noodles in. I don't know, just a bigger pot for that, and eventually I will get one.
Well, good.
Good.
Oh, good.
It was so good.
It was, babes.
Mm-hmm.
Jaylo.
Yes.
Did you have anything else you wanted to say about the dinner?
We finished off the cookies I bought.
Yes.
Later on, because our bellies were pretty full, and
we did that between the first and second movie.
Yeah, we kind of took a break and thought, you know what? I'm gonna let us finish the rest of the cookies, and they were good. And I should buy more of those. But anyway, dinner was great, and I remember how good they turned out the last time we made them, and and I think that the ginger and the soy sauce, not just the peanut butter, but the ginger and the soy sauce really made that peanut sauce very, very yummy.
It's part of the recipe, babe.
I know.
Yes.
No, I know. I know it. It just brings out the flavor. That's what I'm trying to say.
Oh, good, babes. And we finished movie night fairly early. It was before 9:30.
It was.
Yes.
But it was a very good couple hours well spent.
Did you have any dreams last night?
I did not. I was trying to get to sleep, but no, I did not have any dreams.
I had a couple weird ones.
Oh, yeah.
The first one, I was riding in the car with this guy. We were both in the front row, and he was talking to me about different bridges around town and how he moved to Portland, I believe, in 1989. There was some bridge that he had known about for about 13 years that was a secret bridge, and he wanted to take me over it. So we go over the bridge, and then that's when I woke up.
That is so weird.
It was weird. The other dream I had is going to shock you, involved Clubhouse.
Okay.
All right. I fall back asleep, and I take my iPad out of my pocket, turn on Clubhouse. You were in a chat room with a good friend of mine. When I joined the conversation, you were talking to him about how I made you some really good barbecue chicken for breakfast. And
which is kind of funny.
How much you like cooking and whatnot.
Uh-huh.
There was a lady in the chat room who was moderating and started talking about how she started working with like babies when she was 11 and living in Baltimore. I said, this is a boring conversation. I got to get into it and mix things up. And that's when I woke up.
But you never talked at anything.
I don't believe so. I was just listening to y'all.
That's hilarious.
Yes.
To y'all.
Yes. To y'all.
That is really funny.
Yes, babe. Was.
Yes. That's. Yeah.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, you will.
Yes, white.
Yes, white. Is there anything else that you want to talk about, babes?
No, there isn't. I don't think so. I don't think so. I think that I just think that we had a really fun day yesterday, and yeah. Good movies, and I'm interested to see what we decide to watch next week.
Oh, I remembered what I was going to ask you.
What's that?
what self-love exercises do you plan on doing over the next, let's say, 5 days?
I don't know if you would call it self-love, because I don't really get the whole self-love thing, but I'll just say that there are things that need my attention, and I hope I'm able to accomplish them. Like, like mundane things like paying bills and doing a little bit of cleaning. I need to clean.
Yes. For me, I need to clean too. And also just look at my diet, be a little bit more proactive there, plus work on getting my Clubhouse situation set up to where I could actually broadcast. And I can do that now, but actually record with permission and do it at a high enough quality.
Yes.
Yes.
Right.
And I'm excited about doing the men's group tonight. I hope somebody shows up and it's not just me rambling. I said in the description, come here, or this is only going to be like a 5-minute thing. I'm not staying on all night.
Yeah, is it supposed to be like a private thing?
It's going to be public, but it's going to be like blind men checking in. And seeing how we feel and what our week was like, what we plan to do for the following week, that type of thing.
Okay.
Yeah.
Very good.
I'm excited, babes.
Very good.
Yes. Is there anything else you want to talk about?
I'll just say this. I can't believe that March is quickly coming to an end after next week. It's kind of, after the beginning of next week, it's kind of strange.
But we still got one more week left, babes.
We do have one more week left.
Yes.
That is right.
Yes. Jaylo.
Yeah.
I don't think I've ever kissed anybody. And
what? You just kissed me earlier.
Did I?
You always say that. Is this like a new thing with you where you pretend like you don't know how to kiss anybody?
Well, maybe I've forgotten because you...
Oh my goodness.
Oh my goodness.
Oh my goodness. I think it's going to be a thing with him now. I've never kissed anybody. And you're the only one here.
Oh my goodness.
I'm just kidding.
Good. Is there anything else you have to say, babes?
No. I think I'll say happy rest of the weekend to all of you. Spend it with those you love if you can.
Yes.
And have a good one.
Yes.
Just have a good one. Be happy, and we'll see you next time.
Do what you love or love who you do.
Or what you do.
Yes.
Rather.
And check out some of the movies and that we talked about.
Yeah.
Both of the ones that we did.
I'd recommend them both, yes.
I would too. And also the thing with the original, The Man Who Knew Too Much, this was less than 10 years into like sound acting on film. So I love Jimmy Stewart. He's awesome, but he had a little bit more time to learn the craft of film acting and the way that it's done.
Yeah.
Where you talk, right?
Yes.
And so I think that contributes to it too. But it's an interesting movie.
Yes, it is.
Yes. All right, babes.
All right. Have a good one, everybody.
Bye for now.
Until next time.
Bye.
Bye.